Alex Eala, Yasmin Paolini, Coco Gauff, Elena Rybakina, Iga Swiatek, Alina Svitolina. And then Alina Svitolina again. 6 wins over top 10 players. Not spread across a career. Not collected over 5 seasons the way most players collect them. 1 season this season, and every single one of them was won by a player who's never once been ranked inside the top 20 in the world. Now, the number everybody is quoting today is 6. 6 top 10 wins. It is on every sports page in Manila, and it is on ESPN this morning. I think 6 is the wrong number. I think the number that should actually frighten people is sitting 1 column further to the right on the draw sheet, and I have not seen a single outlet mention it. Here it is. 4 of those 6 wins did not happen in a semifinal. They did not happen in a quarterfinal. They happened in the 2nd round and the 3rd round, before the tournament had properly started, before anybody had even settled into the venue. Paolini, ranked 8th in the world, went out in the 2nd round in Dubai. Rybakina, ranked 2nd in the world, went out in the 2nd round in Berlin. Gauff, ranked 4th, 3rd round at Indian Wells. Swiatek, ranked 3rd, defending champion, 3rd round at Wimbledon.so. Here is the claim I am going to make, and I want to be very direct about it because it sounds dramatic, and I do not think it is. The WTA ranking system is currently lying about Alex Eala, not out of bias, not because anybody is doing anything wrong. It is lying for a mathematical reason that it cannot avoid. And once you understand that reason, the whole 2026 season reorganizes itself in front of you. 3 things I am going to show you. 1. Why the round number matters more than the win total, and what it tells you about who has to play her. 2. A gap that has shrunk from 39 to 18 in 5 months, which is the single most important statistic nobody is tracking. And 3. Why the top 4 players in the world are going to hold their breath when the US Open draw comes out, and why the most dangerous version of Alex Eala might be the one that exists right now, today, for maybe another 8 weeks. I am not explaining any of that yet, because before you can understand why a ranking would lie, you first need to understand what a ranking is actually measuring, and more importantly, what it is structurally incapable of measuring at all. Here is the thing almost nobody explains properly. WTA ranking is not a measurement of how good you are. It is a measurement of how good you have been over the last 52 weeks. Your ranking is a rolling total of your results from up to 18 tournaments in the past year. And every single week, the results from that same week a year ago fall off the back end. It is a rearview mirror. And for most players on tour, a rearview mirror is completely fine. Most players do not change very much in 12 months. A player ranked 40th last August is probably somewhere between 30 and 50 this August. The mirror is accurate because the road behind them looks like the road in front of them. But run that same system on a player who is genuinely transforming, and the math breaks in a very specific way. If you are getting better fast, your ranking is always describing a worse player than the one currently standing on the court, always. And the lag runs about a year deep, so let us actually track Eala through that lag, because the numbers are almost funny. March 2025, she is ranked 140th in the world. That is not a top player. That is somebody grinding through qualifying draws. She ends 2025 ranked 50th, career high at the time. January 2026, she reaches the semifinals in Auckland, and climbs to 49. February, she takes the Middle East swing, reaches the quarterfinals in Abu Dhabi, then goes to Dubai and wins 3 matches. Ranking jumps to 31. That is a 16-place leap in 1 week, the biggest move of anybody in the top 50. March, she reaches the 4th round at Indian Wells, career high 29. And then here is the part one really want you to sit with. 2 weeks later, she is ranked 45. She dropped 16 places. Not because she lost. She reached the 4th round in Miami during that stretch. She dropped 16 places because her semi-final points from Miami 2025 expired off the back of the 52-week window. Read that again. In March of 2026, Alex Eala fell 16 spots in the world rankings for something that happened in March of 2025. That is the mirror at work. Her past was pulling her number down while her present was climbing. For about 3 months of the season, the number next to her name was not describing the player she was. It was describing the player she used to be, and the tour was still using it to build draws. By July, she is back to 28 after Wimbledon, and on Friday night in Washington, she beat the world number 10 and moved to 25 in the live rankings. Now, a rearview mirror is a harmless object. It sits there, it reflects, it costs nobody anything. Unless it is the instrument being used to seed a grand slam, because that is what a ranking actually does. Functionally, it is not a trophy. It is a sorting tool. It decides who is protected in a draw and who is not. It decides which 16 or 32 players get separated from each other in the early rounds, and which players get thrown in wherever the random number generator puts them. And if the mirror is a year behind on one specific player, then that player keeps getting sorted into places she does not belong. She keeps landing in the path of people who are, on paper, far above her, and who are in reality not. If you have ever looked at a Grand Slam draw and wondered why one particular seed always seems to get handed the brutal opening week, while somebody else gets a clear run to the quarters, this is your answer. And it is the kind of thing I pull apart on this channel every week of the season. So, now let us open up those 6 matches. Not the highlights, the draw sheets. Because once you see which round each of them actually happened in, this stops being a feel-good story about a 21-year-old overachieving. It starts looking like a warning. Let us lay the 6 wins out, but not by date. By round: Paolini, world number 8. Dubai, second round, February 17th. 6-1, 7-6. Rybakina, world number 2. Berlin, second round, June 7-5, 6-4. Goff, world number 4. Indian Wells, third round, March 6-2. 2 Love, retired. Swiatek, world number 3, defending champion, Wimbledon, third round, July 4th, 7-6. 6-2.4 of her 6 top-10 wins this season arrived before the quarterfinals had even started. Now, stop and think about what that actually describes. This is not a player who fights her way through a bracket, builds confidence over 4 matches, and finally meets an elite opponent in the last 8. That is the normal story. That is how it is supposed to earn a scalp. This is somebody who eliminates the world number 2 on the 3rd day of the tournament. So, here is the first question I want you to hold. Why is a player ranked in the 30s repeatedly appearing in the path of the number 2, number 3, and number 4 seeds this early? Half of that answer is seeding, and it is simple. Only the top 16 or 32 players in a draw get seeded, depending on the event. Seeding is protection. It guarantees you will not face another seed until a specified round. If you are ranked 35th, you are not protected. You go into the pool of unseeded names, and the computer drops you wherever it drops you, which makes Eala what the tour quietly calls a floater, an unseeded name that nobody wants pulled into their section. But that is only half, because being unseeded explains why she is there. It does not explain what happens when she arrives. Let me put the rankings side by side at the moment each match was played, because this is where it gets uncomfortable. She was ranked 35 when she beat Rybakina, the world number 2. She was ranked 32 when she beat Goff, the world number 4. She was ranked 32 when she beat Swiatek, the world number 3. 3 players from the world top 4 in one season by a player who spent that entire season ranked somewhere in the low 30s. So, the second question, how many players ranked around 32nd in the world in recent memory have taken down 3 separate top 4 opponents inside a single calendar year? Because I went looking and it is not a long list. It is barely a list at all. Now let me slow down on one of these, because the Swiatek match is the one that breaks the pattern of everything I just told you. Wimbledon, third round, center court. IGA Swiatek is the defending champion. She is ranked 3rd in the world. She has an entire title to protect and 1,870 ranking points riding on the fortnight. IGA takes the first set 7-6, and that tiebreak finished 11 points to 9. Sit with that scoreline for a second. 11-9 in a tiebreak means set points came and went in both directions. It means IGA had to save at least one. Against the defending champion on center court. In the biggest match of her life to that point, she wins it. And then she wins the second set 6-2. Not 6-4, not 7-5, 6-2. After a first set that lasted long enough to be its own match, the 21-year-old was the one who got sharper. When it was over, she went down on her knees on the grass. On court, she could not finish a sentence. She started crying halfway through the interview and had to stop. Center court stood up, and the Philippines had a player in the second week of a Grand Slam for the first time in the country's history. That is the emotional version, and it is real, and it deserves to be. But here is the tactical version that the coaches want. IGA Swiatek had beaten her before. They had a history. Madrid 2025, Swiatek won. So this was not an ambush by an unknown player. Swiatek had tape. Swiatek had a plan. Swiatek had beaten this exact opponent on this exact tour 13 months earlier, and it did not matter. So now the mystery deepens instead of resolving. If being unseeded explains why Eala keeps showing up early, and if having tape on her does not stop her, then what exactly is the defense here? What is a top 4 player supposed to do differently? Because the pattern is not going away. 5 months, 6 wins, 4 of them before the quarterfinals, 3 of them against the world top 4, and 1 of them against an opponent who already knew exactly what was coming. That is the point where most people stop analyzing and start using the word talent, because talent is a word you reach for when you have run out of explanations. I do not think it is talent, or rather, I do not think talent is the interesting part. Because if you take those same 6 matches and track one specific number across all of them, in order, something happens that nobody in tennis media has pointed at yet. The number is not flat. It is moving. It is moving in one direction. It is moving fast, and it means the version of Alex Eala you are watching right now has an expiration date. February, ranked 47, beats the world number 8. That is a 39-place gap. March, ranked 32, beats the world number 4. 28. June, ranked 35, beats the world number 2. 33. June again, ranked 35, beats the world number 8. 27. July, ranked 32, beats the world number 3. 29. And Friday night in Washington, ranked 28, beats the world number 10. 18.39, 28, 33, 27, 29, 18. Look at where that line starts and look at where it ends. In February, the distance between Alex Eala and the top 10 player she was beating was 39 places. 5 months later, it is 18. The gap has more than halved. Now, here is the twist, and it is the reason this video exists. By every measure I just gave you, the Svitolina win on Friday was the least impressive top 10 victory of her entire season. Smallest ranking gap of the 6, lowest ranked opponent of the 6 at number 10. On paper, this is the softest scalp she has taken all year. And that is precisely the thing that should worry everybody else. Because the reason the gap is shrinking is not that Eala is beating weaker players. It is that Alex Eala is running out of room above her. The distance is closing from her side. The mirror is finally catching up, which means the entire frame you have been watching this season through is about to become obsolete. Everyone, including me, until I sat down with these numbers, has been telling the same story. Lucky 21-year-old from outside the top 30 keeps shocking the elite. Underdog, giant killer, Cinderella with a left-handed forehand. That story has a shelf life, and the shelf life is almost up. She is not going to be an underdog for much longer. She is not going to be a shock. The word upset requires a distance between 2 players, and that distance is disappearing in real time. 39 to 18. Think about it like a car in your mirror. 4 or 5 months, the ranking has been telling every top 10 player the same reassuring thing. That car is way back there. 39 places back, then 33, then 28, then 18. Objects in the mirror are closer than they appear. Everybody knows that sentence. But here's the part that actually applies. Nobody in the top 10 was looking in the mirror at all. They were looking at a number on a draw sheet. And the number said 35, and 35 is not a threat. And by the time anybody realized the number was wrong, they were already shaking her hand at the net. And I am curious what you make of that sequence because I genuinely go back and forth on it. Drop the 6 numbers in the comments with your read on them. Are you seeing a player whose ranking is catching up to her level, or a player whose level is still climbing faster than the ranking can move? Those are 2 completely different futures, and I do not think the answer is obvious. Some of the sharpest reads I get on this channel come from people who have been watching her since she was ranked 140, and I read all of them. Now, let us go back to center court for a second, because there is something in that Swiatek match that fits this exactly. When IGA fell to her knees on that grass, the number next to her name was 32. She had just eliminated the defending Wimbledon champion, and in the days that followed, the ranking finally moved her to 28, her career high, the highest any Filipino player has ever been ranked in the history of the sport. 28. After beating the 3rd best player in the world, that is what the lag looks like from the inside. The ranking did not reward her for the performance. It slowly, grudgingly updated a 52-week average.so. The twist is not that Alex Eala is a giant killer. The twist is that she is about to stop being one, and not because she is getting worse, which brings me to one number I have deliberately not shown you yet. It is a single ratio, and when you put it next to everything we have just walked through, it stops being a story about a promising season. It becomes a problem the top 10 does not currently have an answer to. 0.6 wins sounds impressive right up until somebody asks the obvious question. How many times did she play them? So here is that number. Her career record against top 10 opposition is 8-4. Not 8 wins out of 50 attempts, 8 out of 12. Alex Eala has faced a top 10 player 12 times in her entire life, and she has beaten them 8 times. That is a 67% win rate against the 10 best players in the world, produced by somebody who has never been ranked inside the top 20. And I want to be careful here because that is a small sample, and I am not going to pretend it is not. 12 matches is 12 matches. But run the same test on the tour right now. Take the players currently sitting inside the top 10 and check their records against each other. A lot of them are not at 67%. Several of them are barely above 50. Beating elite players 2 times out of every 3 is not a promising young player number. That is a top 5 player number. Now, let me deal with the asterisk before somebody puts it in the comments, because it belongs in this video, and hiding it would be insulting. The Gauff win at Indian Wells was a retirement. Eala led 6-2 to love, and Coco Gauff pulled out injured. That is a win in the record book, and it counts in the 8-4, but it is not the same thing as closing out a match. I am not going to sell it to you as one, so take it out, remove it entirely. 5 top 10 wins in a season. Paulini, Rybakina, Svitolina, Swiatek, Svitolina. All completed, all straight sets except one. Still an extraordinary year, and it changes absolutely nothing about the pattern. Second piece of evidence, and this one is not about rankings at all. Alex Eala leads IGA Swiatek 2-1. Say that out loud. A player who has never cracked the top 20 holds a winning head-to-head record against one of the defining players of this generation. Miami, 2025 hard court. Wimbledon, 2026 grass. Swiatek's only win came in Madrid on clay. 2 different surfaces, 2 different years, 2 different stages of Eala's development. That is not a matchup quirk that lives on one court type. That travels. Third piece. Look at who these 6 people actually are, because top 10 is a range, not a category.